World War III warning signs are starting. On September 18, social media platforms began populating with images of a small Chinese convoy of Humvees moving from Russia into Ukraine. These images followed Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Putin's conversation regarding support for one another. Putin had previously commented that their country's friendship had no limits. In their most recent conversation, Russia backed Beijing's military presence in the Taiwan Strait while looking to correlate Chinese support for Ukraine. Russian state media claimed that Xi told Putin that they were ready to team up with our Russian colleagues to set an example of a responsible world power and to play a leading role. The United States has served that role for almost 100 years. It is doubtful our government would be happy losing democracy to the CCP and Russia. When President Biden announced crippling economic sanctions, China immediately responded by stepping in and providing Russia with a 25% increase in shipments, according to Reuters. With President Putin escalating the war with 300,000 troops called up and telling the world that he is not afraid to use any and all weapons, the world may be at an inflection point where they need to call his bluff. Signs of a global showdown may have existed for most of the year. A weak economy with runaway inflation threatens the security of our nation. The United States has been mobilizing military units into strategic locations to prepare for a possible conflict. The Federal Reserve is working tirelessly to ruin the purchasing power of all Americans. Perhaps the only way out will be war. The world today is being ruled by a bunch of aggressive leaders. On one side we have the Twitter blaster. In the middle, we have leaders that are least bothered by what their threatening neighbors are doing or saying. We have leaders that are ready to protect their economic growth and concerns at any cost, and those that will defy all authorities to achieve their military ambitions. Great wars before the Third had begun due to territorial claims, and as Crimea hangs in the balance between Ukraine and Russia, the strained relations are not helpful when it comes to qualms of war. Likewise, China claims South China Sea and Taiwan, which adds to territorial hunger and resulting restlessness. The Human Rights Commission of the UN is composed of China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, which are the leaders of entropy today. Saudi Arabia leads the Muslim coalition against terrorism. China, with its vigorous claims and economic ambitions, leads us nowhere peaceful, while Russia lurks in dark waters of the Middle East. Just like in 1940s when the League of Nations could not prevent the World War, the UN today seems helpless. Just like in the previous Great Wars, there are two power blocks challenging and facing each other. On one side is Russia and China with its allies supporting the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria. While on the other side there is Turkey supporting the rebels and the U.S., which in conspiracies is supporting everyone against the other, but on the page, it is supporting the rebels too. Syria and Iraq have become proxy war zones for these two power blocks. Afghanistan has become a proxy war region for India and Pakistan, where each is backed by another powerful country. In this way, every country gets dragged into the war. Those that don't have the resources fuel the war with men and conspiracies. In Asia, China aggrieves smaller Fast East countries like Brunei, Malaysia, Philippines and Japan, which are backed by the U.S. as it claims islands within the South China Sea. At stake are the gas and oil reserves in the area, as well as a safe passage for Chinese trading ships. China has yet to translate its economic power into political power, but should it do that, will it be leading into an open confrontation with the U.S.? Get prepared. Better safe than sorry.